I'm back. It's Sunday. I start my first day at work in the Santa Monica area. It's actually kind of funny because I went from working at the Grove for about 1 year in 1 year and 6 months to working in Santa Monica. Which, yeah, it took me almost 2 months to find a new job, but I found a new job. Now, this one pays about $14 an hour. It's washing dishes. It's not Hollywood glamorous like my last job where I got to see celebrities as loss prevention, but a job's a job, and I predict I should hold on to this job for about 3 to 4 years. It should be at least almost 5 years later before I have to look for a new job. See, I don't want to work and then 2 years go by and then we go out of business. I didn't like that because I had hardly almost no time to prepare. So this was kind of like on the fly. We'll see how it goes. But that's not what I made this video for. I promised you guys I was going to make some smash mouth football. Woo! Yeah! Got to put some emotion into this Sunday. Now, the NFL pre-workouts don't start until like late July, mid-August. You do know around mid-August is when they start doing pre-football games. And September is when the NFL season starts back, right? So it's only fitting that I bring some smash mouth football content for my diehard YouTube fans that just can't get enough of football. We're taking a break from sex talk and sex game. Before the summer's over, we'll bring back sex game. But we want to take a break from that because YouTube did, contact me behind the scenes and kind of told me to calm down on the content. You got a community guideline strike. You know how that works on YouTube. I'm sure most of you have a channel yourself, and when you get to talking too much, whether you're talking about something good or bad too much, somebody get into their feelings and want to give you a consequence for your actions. And you know how the rule goes. You get strike one, you still can upload videos. You get strike two, it could be almost a month before you can get back on there. And you know what happens when you get strike three, right? It's like baseball. 3 strikes and you're gone. Channel terminated. So, you would probably consider my first strike like strike one probation. Because, I got to be careful on what I say on the internet. Because you may never know who's watching your videos. And they probably might be smiling, laughing like, yeah, I got you now. But it's okay. It's alright. You get a strike every now and then. All the YouTubers get strikes for saying something smart and politically correct. Even celebrities get in trouble by film studios for opening their mouth and saying something they ain't had no business saying. So it happens to all of us. Now, today's YouTube video is going to be Troy Aikman from the Dallas Cowboys. Yes, I have a script with me. It's going to be Troy Aikman from the Dallas Cowboys versus Big Ben Roethlisberger of the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is going to be battle of the quarterbacks. Now, this is like a dream matchup that I've always wanted to talk about. What would happen if you took two of these great quarterbacks in their primes against each other? And plus, both these football teams have a long history rivalry against each other. Anyone that's a Pittsburgh Steelers fan will tell you they have a lot of rivals in professional football. Dallas Cowboys is, if not number one, close to the top. And if you're a Dallas Cowboy fan and you know your Dallas Cowboy football history, you know for a fact that Pittsburgh is somewhere in there as far as rivals are concerned in the NFL. Now, the Dallas Cowboys do have rivals like the Green Bay Packers. They are the New York Giants. They are the San Francisco 49ers. They're the Green Bay Packers. But right near at the top is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, Troy Aikman did play football in high school, and he is from West Covina. And he went to my favorite college, UCLA College. And he did play about 2 years at quarterback position, 2 to 3 years at UCLA College. And then he got drafted into the 1989 NFL Draft. Now, he himself got picked at number one. Him and Barry Sanders was a lock to be number one in the draft. And he got selected. and drafted to the Dallas Cowboys. And I think you know who recruited him at that very moment. It's a famous person that used to play or coach the Miami Hurricanes football team at that height of their prime infancy of college football, Jimmy Johnson. And I know Stephen A. Smith and Skip Bailey knows what I'm talking about. Now, how about them Cowboys? We're gonna go out there and we're gonna go take it to them. Let's do it, Cowboys! Yeah, I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan at heart. Some people might like, what? I like the Patriots and I also like the Cowboys. But the point is, he got drafted at quarterback position. Now his numbers were up there. This guy could throw the football. I mean, before there was Tom Brady, Troy Aikman was Tom Brady. I mean, he was the blueprints to success and greatness. Before Tom ever showed up, before Eli, Paint Manny, before any of those guys came in the game, Troy Aikman was Aaron Rodgers before Aaron Rodgers showed up. Troy Aikman was Tom Brady before Tom Brady showed up. And yes, he was Eli Manning and Paint Manny before they showed up. And at that height of that level, you had Troy Aikman. You had Barry Sanders at running back. Even though he wasn't a quarterback, he was high on the list of popular football players. You had Jerry Rice, who was a wide receiver. You had Steve Young, Joe Montana. You had Herschel Walker. And there's that other football player. I can't think of his name, but he went from football to baseball, and every time he hit a baseball bat, he breaks it. Not Riddick Bowe the boxer, but Bo Jackson. There we go, Bo Jackson. And then you had Dan Marino. So you had a lot of prospects in the late 80s, early 90s that was going to set the run for the next 10 years in the NFL. And Troy Aikman happened to be on top of all of them. And let's not forget John Elway, because he was there too, in the Denver Broncos, in the 1990s. And let me tell you, Dallas and Denver would clash a whole lot. There were a whole lot of rivalries. And his numbers were pretty up there. He could make 5 touchdowns in one football game. And like any quarterback, he had the ability to throw the football. He could go up downfield. He could get into the pocket. And he would kill you on offense. I mean, he was 6'4", 221 pounds of devastation. He could also get around defenses and still make a touchdown. And there were a lot of times where he was injured and he would play hurt. I mean, he was tough. I mean, he was so tough. He was tough. And he could also have the ability, like Tom Brady, when the game is tight, he could come back. And I mean this, he could come back and go from being 10 down, 15 points down, and come back, rally a comeback, and win the football game. And he wouldn't just do it once. He would do it 7 or 8 times a season. They would win 85% of their games. They would make the playoffs. And every time they made the playoffs, he would always beat a young, up-and-coming Brett Favre, who got traded at the time from Atlanta Falcons to the Green Bay Packers. And 3 years in a row, he would knock out the Green Bay Packers. And whenever they did lose in the playoffs, it was either against their division rival, the San Francisco 49ers. And if it weren't the 49ers, then it would be probably somebody like the Miami Dolphins, which they would always beat the Dolphins. Don't ask me why. He would always get a leg up on Dan Marino and those Dolphins. But it would be someone like John Elway and the Denver Broncos. He would beat him. But then they would lose to someone like Pittsburgh Steelers, usually when they get to the next round of the playoffs. Now, he won 3 championships. Now, the year that they made it to the Super Bowl, it was against the 49ers in great fashion, respectively, going against Joe Montana. And to come into a situation where you're going against the man, the legend in football, is iconic. To beat him for a Super Bowl. How many people can say that a quarterback can go against was supposed to be their inspiring hero and then beat him. So he done it in devastating fashion. Now, the second year when they tried to win back-to-back Super Bowls, the 49ers revamped back. At that time, they had Deion Primetime Sanders. And they got back at the Dallas Cowboys, and, they lost the very next year. But then the third year, he won a second championship. In 3 years, he won 2 Super Bowls. And then somewhere around, I think, the 1996, they would go back to the Super Bowl. And it's very rare to have Super Bowl rematches. And he would win a Super Bowl rematch against the same team. Or this time would be the Pittsburgh Steelers or the 49ers. And he would win his third championship, which marked off, he won 3 championships, and I think in 6 or 7 year period, he became MVP. And of course, we had I forgot what his name was on the Dallas Cowboys. I can't remember his name, but he was on the football team, and I might make a video about it later in the series. Now, he's good. Now, he did get injured, and the same thing happened to him after playing about 11 or 12 years of professional football. The same thing happened to Troy Aikman, just like with Joe Montana and Steve Young on the 49ers. He had the same problem. They had a young, up-and-coming quarterback that they wanted to go to, and he was like, at that point, 34, 35 years old, and they kind of wanted to move away from him, and he saw it, and he witnessed it. And he's like, I won 3 championships. I won MVP. Anytime this team was down 10 to 15 points, I would always bring them back, win football games. And here you are trying to replace me when I'm still at a high competitive level. At this point in time, it was like towards the end of the 1990s, and we were now getting into the 2000s, where guys like Jerry Rice had the same problem on the 49ers. Dan Marino was retiring in 2000, and Troy Aikman played in 2000, and then again in 2001, and then retired, and then became a commentator, respectively. So you see how his career turned out. Now, as for Big Ben Roethlisberger, he comes in the 2004 NFL draft, and he is selected 11th in the first round, and selected and picked to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, this is a football team that had already won Super Bowls before he got there. Now, Big Ben is like around 6'2", 6'3", 240 pounds, and he's a little bigger and a little heavier and stronger than Troy Aikman, and he was at quarterback position, and he had played football in high school, and when he got to college, he had played for the Miami, because there's like at least 4 or 5 colleges in the city of Miami. Too bad it's not the Miami Hurricanes, but he had played for them and found himself playing for the Steelers. Now, in his year, it wasn't until I think 2005 or 2006, somewhere around in there, if I believe 2005, they won a Super Bowl, which is very rare for you to come in a year earlier and then a year later you win the first Super Bowl. And the fact that he got into a motorcycle accident, they had tried to tell him all leading up to the Super Bowl, Big Ben Roethlisberger, do not drive a motorcycle. And he did it anyway. And this is the night before the Super Bowl. That's why some people felt that they had no business winning the Super Bowl when he did. Now, he would go to another Super Bowl, and who he would lose to? He would lose to those Green Bay Packers the next time around he went to a Super Bowl. And that was like, I think, in 2010. Because he had won a second championship prior to that. I think in 2007 or 2008, I think they had went back to the Super Bowl. He won 2 Super Bowl championships. And he was trying to win 3. And he lost. Now, his numbers are... They either on the same level as Troy Aikman's, or they're a little bit to rival them. Now, he got injured after the 2011-2012 season. He tore his shoulder. Then he tore a ligament, and then in the 2013-2014 season, they made a run at the table, but then they lost Antonio Brown. They lost three other players, and then by 2015, 2016, they got eliminated in the playoffs against their rivals, the Patriots. And then the 2016, 2017 season, again they got eliminated by the playoffs. And then in 2018, he got injured. Miraculously, they made the playoffs, and then they made it again in 2019. And again, they didn't get past that. So he's won 2 championships, but he's gone to 3 Super Bowls. And Troy Aikman has won 3 championships, but gone to the Super Bowl, I think, 5 times in his NFL career. If not 5, then he went to 4 Super Bowls, but he won 3 championships. Now, in their primes, who were the better athlete? I would say Troy Aikman, by a slight hair, would edge out Big Ben, just because he had more experience, he had better players around him. Now, Big Ben has always had better players around him. And Big Ben has gone to the Super Bowl 3 times and won 2 championships. Now, if they were to play each other in their primes, this would be a situation where you would see a game go into overtime 3 times. Like, Troy Aikman would send the game into overtime the first time. Big Ben would send it into a second overtime. And then it wouldn't be until a third and final overtime that you get a clear-cut winner. And they would have to play each other maybe 5 more times in 5 years of a season, in 5 seasons, before you can arguably say right off the bat who is the clear winner. Now, if you take away the championships, it's a tie because they're practically almost the same player. And with the championships, again, you would probably say it's a tie because one managed to go to a Super Bowl 3 to 5 times, but win 3 championships. Big Ben won the 3 Super Bowls, but still won 2 championships. So, championships and no championships, they're like the same player. It's quarterback versus quarterback. But I say by a slight hair, Troy Aikman takes it because he's managed to last a lot longer. Big Ben is still playing actively going into the 2019-2020 NFL season. He is still actively playing. He's still pursuing the hopes of one more championship. And if he makes it 3, then it would just tie it up and prove my point. Next time on the next episode, I'll pick 2 more players that you possibly cannot imagine if they were in their primes. How would they fare against each other? Until then, peace.